Good evening, everyone. It is 5:30. It's time to begin our meeting. Before we begin, we always start out with public comments. Are there any public comments? There being none, I call this meeting to order. We will have invocation by Grayson Gamble, 5th grade, Crestwood, and flag salute Lorenzo Bradford, 4th grade, Glenview.
Dear Lord, we thank you for this wonderful school year. We pray that you continue to guide the district, and thank you for the teachers, staff, and students in the North Little Rock School District who work hard each day. We ask all this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Good job.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Grayson and Lorenzo, are your parents here? If so, would you stand, please? Thank you. Ms. Wancom, would you read the vision and mission statement?
Sure. The vision statement is world-class schools for world-class students. And our mission statement is the North Little Rock School District and the community will provide achievement, accountability, acceptance, and the necessary assets to the pursuit of each student's educational success.
Thank you. Roll call, Ms. Colquitt.
Dr. Redis.
Here.
Mrs. Williams.
Here.
Mrs. Hurston West.
Here.
Mrs. Temple.
Here.
Mrs. Watkins.
Here.
Mrs. McLean.
Here.
Mr. Still.
Here.
We are down to number 6, recognition of people and events, my favorite part of being on the board. The first is 6.1, school presentation.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, we welcome, I believe, Ridge Road Elementary School. And I'll start with Mr. Howe, the wonderful principal of Ridge Road Elementary School, to introduce members of his staff for our school presentation.
All right. So, good evening, Madam President, Superintendent, Board, everyone else. Thank you all so much for letting us have this opportunity to share Ridge Road. I could tell you about all the wonderful things that are going on at Ridge Road and the awesome school that it is. However, several years ago, we decided that we needed to hear the voice from our students. And so we put together a student voice group that we have been kind of molding and improving upon to hear what they have to say. And so this year we have representatives from our student voice team at Ridge Road. And so I'm not going to be the one to talk about Ridge Road tonight. They're the ones that are going to share Ridge Road, and they're also available after. They're going to show a short video, but afterwards they're available for any questions you all have, anything you want to know about Ridge Road, they can share it. But I'm going to go ahead and have them come up at this time. So my student voice team, if you guys would come forward. All right, and these are just some of our members. We have Cadence Roberts, a 4th grader. We have Faye Straw, 3rd grade. We have Amelia Alexander, 5th grade. Nasiah Muldrew is also in 5th grade, correct? Yes, 4th, 5th, okay. And then we've also got Allison Dancy's in 4th grade. And we got Delaney Green in 4th grade. And then we also have another 3rd grade representative, Larissa Vasquez. Okay, so why don't you guys come over here so that they can see you. All right. As I said, they were elected by their classmates to represent the 3rd through 5th grade as well as the whole school. And so they address issues that go on in the school, figure out how to make our school even better. I'm also going to introduce some of our staff members are here. Karen Moss Newbern, who has been working with them. She's our GT coordinator at our school. We've also got Sheila Williams. She's an MCL, but she's been working closely with our student voice team. She represents the staff side of the student voice team. And then my better half, Kyla Lawrence, assistant principal at Ridge Road Elementary as well. All right, at this time we can go ahead and start the video, and then I'm going to let them go ahead and say anything else they need to say.
Well, the answer is more than just one thing. It's a lot of things. First, the people make Ridge Road a special place. Secondly, the fun learning environment makes our school stand out among other schools. Last but not least, here at Ridge Road, we celebrate who we are and our diverse backgrounds. We have the largest elementary school population in the North Rock School District, with 535 students. Can you imagine how many friends we are able to make here? The people here are very nice because we have a strict no-bullying policy. The kids aren't mean to each other, and neither are the teachers mean to the students. Here at Ridge Road, we get to interact with so many people at a variety of events. Fall Festival is an event that a lot of people, like parents, students, and volunteers, attend. We get to collect candy, play games, and experience the haunted house. How cool is that? Steam night is held at the Museum of Discovery. We learn with our whole families on that night. There is an area that taught us about human bodies. There is a tornado shelter room that taught us about Arkansas tornadoes. We are able to play with a giant air section that sucks up and spits out coffee.
During our night, people get to come together and see awesome art made by little kids. We also get to challenge the school in a t-shirt contest. The winner that is the best design gets to go up and put on a t-shirt and hoodie.
Our school has a full-size gym that allows us to play some exciting games like Shark Attack. Our full-size gym also allows us to have some musical performances and assemblies like our Veterans Day program that honor our veteran families and our veteran community members.
At Ridge Road, we're all accepted no matter of our different cultures. We not only accept our different cultures, but we celebrate them. We celebrate Hispanic heritage, Black history, and Asian American Pacific Islander Month.
During these months, countries and impactful individuals are studied. Cultural dances and music genres are learned, and performances are made so all families can come together and celebrate each other's cultural background. Ridge Road is a great place to be. We are proud to be wolves.
So a big thank you to Miss Butler, our music teacher, who put that video together for us. But at this time, board, if you have any questions for our student voice team, please welcome them. So, you guys want to turn around and face the board?
Can you just tell us your names? We'll start here. Lasai.
Can you tell me a little bit, what does your shirt mean to you, or what does it represent? My voice matters. What?
It means that everyone is able to speak what they speak, and that every freedom should be let out. And it doesn't matter what skin or race you are. You are already free at this state.
It means that no matter who you are, you still matter, and that your voice should get to be heard.
Awesome.
It's mean when you ever have a feeling or anything in Ridge Road Elementary, Mr. Hart
Mr. How our Miss Lawrence will handle it.
All right.
It means that everyone's voice should be heard by every kind of people.
Awesome.
If you don't feel welcomed by your friends, you could go to a friend and make friends with them, and they'll introduce you to people.
All right.
Everyone should get a chance to say what they want to say.
Awesome.
I think that this, when it says my voice matters, I think it means when one student has a problem and they don't feel comfortable with telling the teacher yet, then they can go to the student representative and tell them about their problem. And maybe they can tell the teacher.
Great job.
Do y'all act as a welcoming committee when you have new students coming to the school? Oh, okay. Sometimes.
Are your parents here with you?
Anybody else have any questions?
Would the parents please stand?
If I could say, Madam President, if we could have the parents come up and we'll do a photograph.
Awesome.
Up here, if you would join us.
Very good presentation and very good job, ladies. Good job.
Yeah, that's my question. Where the
Y'all got to handle this. She said they weren't
Madam
available.
President? Huh?
She said they weren't available.
Got you.
They're doing homework, right?
Got you. You need pre-notice. We got you. Well, tell the boys they missed out. Sure. Parents up here on the step up.
Got it? Okay.
Good looking group. That's okay. You got get your staff in.
I want me one of those shirts. Did you make those?
Good to see
I
you.
figured you did. When they walked in, I said, Karen done made shirts again. She makes some awesome shirts.
Great job, Rich.
Mrs. Newbern, my shirt will be in when? Thank you.
Tell her your size.
She know. We go to church together. She knows.
Andrew got
25 points.
What, for what?
for board recognition.
Oh,
So we're down to
You have to do that.
we're down to 6.2 school board recognition. Awards were recently acknowledged at the 2022 ASBA Fall Regional Meetings. The awards are for board members who have earned at least 25 hours of service. And we happen to have an outstanding board member that has earned her hours. Congratulations, Ms. Person West.
Okay, next item. No, we don't want to.
Go on, get your picture now. Your parents here tonight, Miss Prince?
What'd you say, Smart? I am. I hate getting up in front of people.
We are down to 6.4 Parent North Star. And while she's there, we're going to do.
Superintendent honor roll.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. 6.3 Superintendent's Honor Roll.
there you go.
Good evening, everyone. Today we're going to be ready for our superintendent honor roll. Our honoree is Ms. Caroline Faulkner, assistant principal at North Little Rock High School. So Ms. Faulkner was recommended by her supervisor, Dr. St. Louis, who is the principal at North Little Rock High School. She writes the following: I want to recognize Ms. Caroline Faulkner for the work she does at North Little Rock High School. She consistently goes above and beyond the call of duty to support the students and staff at the school. Ms. Faulkner has no problem with rolling up her sleeves and doing what needs to be done. She does everything from diffusing situations, speaking with students and staff, picking up trash, monitoring the hallways, and so many other things. She is never above the work. She is an excellent example of a leader. She is dependable, compassionate, hardworking, and kind. Many of the teachers, students, and community value and respect Ms. Faulkner. For me personally, Ms. Faulkner really supported my transition as I moved into the role of principal at the high school. She was available to help me with everything I prepared for the start of the school year last year. She was a kind and friendly face as I was new to the North Little Rock community. Despite what is going on in the building or the amount of work she has to do, Ms. Faulkner always keeps a good attitude. She is a role model to both students and teachers. There is not enough to be said about Ms. Faulkner. I greatly appreciate her and all her work. It is not unnoticed or unrecognized.
Outstanding.
Ms. Faulkner, do you have parents here with you?
Hey,
Ms. Faulkner, if your family is here, they can come up and take a picture with you.
There you go. Dr. St. Louis.
The Dr. St. Louis.
Thank you all.
now these your sisters?
Yes. Cry.
Now we know who we can go to tell on you. Dr. St. Louis, Madam President, you did miss something. That was well done. You didn't say she always has flawless hair.
I just want to thank everyone tonight for coming out, support, all the ones who made the decision to make this happen. I've been here 32 years, and I tell you,
Wow.
I really appreciate this award. Thank you.
Now we're down to 6.4, Parent North Star, and 6.5, the Great Rising Adult Youth Mentor Recognition.
Dr. Paluski, President Redis, board members, North Little Rock staff, and North Little Rock community. Parent and family engagement is highlighted during the month of November, and North Little Rock schools have rolled out the blue carpet, showering parents with North Little Rock School District secret sauce, the hospitality in schools. From fall festivals, wellness parent nights, STEM nights, where over 200 families attended, walking tacos, parent family literacy night, night of giving, food baskets for families, parent newsletters, family night, lunch and learn, the parent edition, parent nights, pre-K pause, we pause to do our best, Veterans Day, honoring parents and guardians, grateful for guardians, just to name a few. But one school in particular hosted a parent week, 1 week of activities catered to parents, grandparents, and family members. Monday was pancakes for parents. Tuesday was grooving with grandparents. Wednesday was welcome back to school, where parents came in the building to welcome scholars back to school. Thursday was workout with parents in the evening. And Friday is Family Fun Friday at Chuck E. Cheese, where a percent goes to the PTA. Each event was supported by the school's ambassadors, Girls with Pearls and Guys in Ties. Activities and events like these are what makes parents feel welcome and become engaged in other areas around our educating and ensuring student success. And it's motivating to our scholars when they can see mom, dad, grandparents in the building. As the parent engagement coordinator, I am so excited about the growth that we're making in our entire district at all of our campuses as we empower and engage parents, guardians, and grandparents, family members. Dr. Paluski, North Little Rock community, staff, help me honor the Parent North Star, supporting teachers, achieving results, as we honor the Meadow Park parent family led by our PEP, Randy Box.
Take your picture.
Come on. Principal McKinley, come forward.
That is too funny. Set my name on it.
A year ago, North Little Rock School District made history as the second school district in the nation to establish a Dads on Duty chapter. We started out with dads and men from the community devoting time to our Charging Up Adult Youth Mentor program. The pandemic caused us to go back and forth with people in the buildings, not in the buildings, well, while waiting and planning. I was on a Zoom meeting at the end of last year with several mentors working a plan that would be sustainable, student-centered, successful, ensuring all North Little Rock School District students were future ready. While in my quiet time, I had to lean on my faith and ask God for direction and guidance. I always knew we needed a little more structure and that I would need more community males to step up and help me recruit more males. Our recipient attended several of our mentor meetings. He mentored young men and is very excited about being a part of this great ministry work. Our recipient was placed in my heart to help meet this task. He was raised by his great-grandmother. He was a single father for several years. He understood and understands the importance and power of education and the support of mentors. He expresses via his social media and verbal platform motivational messages that everyone can be and should be successful. This man who not only understands that he has a purpose in life, he seeks to use his God-given talents and life experiences as he understands the assignment to support and help our young men. He is ready and is going to get others ready. We cannot and we will not stand by and watch students fail. We are the village, and it takes a village to raise and educate a child. North Little Rock students will be future ready. Our recipient believes and lives and wants to leave a legacy that is grounded in the words of Frederick Douglass. It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. He is not new to this. but he is true to this. Our November recipient will serve as one of our leads for our North Little Rock School District Dads on Duty chapter. Please, Dr. Paluski, school board, North Little Rock community, staff, help me salute our great rising for November, Mr. Rodney Campbell.
I used to work in the North Little Rock School District. I'm in the Little Rock School District now. My voice is pretty loud. Can you hear me? Okay, so I'm in the Little Rock School District now. I'm in the Information Services Department. I was subbing over here, I think Ms. Faulkner back in 1994. So I've been around since 1994. I was over at Ridge Road a while, so I did like being in your school. It's been 30 years. And I was security at West Campus. We called it back then North Little Rock West Campus, 6 years. So I've been in Little Rock School District 21 years now, December 1st. And thank you, Ms. Barker. This is a welcome surprise, and I look forward to helping the young men of the North Little Rock School District.
Great, thank you.
Awesome. Okay, all the fun's gone. We're down to number 7, executive closed session. 7.1, executive sessions may be held only for the purpose of considering employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, disciplining, or resignation of an employee, or to discuss matters of pupil punishment if requested by the parent or legal guardian. Please join me in executive closed session to discuss, consider employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, disciplining, or resignation of an employee. We are back in session. We're back in session. The next item is 8.1, board member involvement. I'll go first because I promised these babies I mentioned their names, so they may be listening. First, I did attend the 2022 ASBA regional meeting back in October. I felt honored to go to Indian Hills Veterans Day Parade. I took my dad, and he had a blast, and it was wonderful. We also attended luncheon at Indian Hills, and the marshals were our ambassadors. We had Dallas, Ethan, Cooper, Piper, Ariel, oh God, I hope I pronounced her name right, and Aubrey. So thank you from Indian Hills. Then today, we had a wonderful time in Meadow Park. And there, the scholar ambassadors were Natalia, Gavin, Gisette, Christopher, Jordan, Jaden, Jasmine, DeKedrick, Ayana, and Abram. I got them all. I fulfilled my promise. Anybody else?
Oh, I thought you were starting on one end. I'm sorry. Hold on, I'm not ready. I'm getting there. Now I don't know what I'm doing with my stuff. Hold on. Okay, there it is. I put my notes in here for the first time. I went to Good Shepherd Veterans Day program. I did both the memory care and the retirement community. Had a meeting with Rock Region Metro.
They can't hear you. Can you speak in the mic?
Oh, my bad. You know, I'm shy. You don't have to start over. Oh, I was at Miss Williams. Thank you. Rock Region Metro, we sat down and talked with them about a fair agreement, ASBA Regional Conference in Jacksonville. They were a really good host and gave us a nice umbrella walking in. Reading with pastor, story time with pastors. That was at 7th Street Elementary. We had lunch at Glenview, which was really fun. I enjoy the lunch with the kids and getting to know them. And if they come home and tell y'all school lunch is bad, they're telling a big one, because school lunch is really good. And we've enjoyed ourselves with the hospitality. Trivia night for the Wildcat Foundation. We won't go into how our team did, but we were active participants. And today, lunch at Meadow Park, which it was really nice. We had some great hosts there, and they had it set up really nice in their cafeteria. Shout out to the cafeteria staff. And they had some awesome sweet tea. And Saturday morning, we're going to have a community baby shower for Shorter Gardens. And then that's it.
Anybody else?
I just had a good time today at Meadow Park. And what I was so impressed with the school and Indian Hills, teachers were teaching. Mm-hmm. And you could see the outcome, the excitement of students raising their hands. It was just awesome what's really going on. And thank you people out there, you math and coaches and elementary ed and that data processing person. You all are doing a phenomenal job. And we visited these schools, and the lessons all over the walls. Mm-hmm. And one little boy this morning, this is a compliment of what you all told him to do. And we were at Meadow Park, and the teacher asked a question, and he was able to turn around and look at the wall and give the answer. And it just, something went through me. But everybody had their hands up, and he was so astute. What I'm saying, the visit that we're making to the schools have really been an impact on board members saying, like, what more we can do. And thank you, Dr. Paluski, for your leadership. Oh, and they did go to the trivia. the Wildcat Foundation was for the students. We didn't win. but the
We didn't have to
fellowship
tell all
and
of that.
food. And, but that's have been my, giving to the homeless, Miss Riggins, giving her things and, donating, lunch bags to, that school, Miss Randall's, and I got yours back there too. I got it, it's in my other car. But I got the socks, so don't leave so I can give them to you. But I just want to say to you all, compliment to them. You all are doing a phenomenal job, and I thank you. And she told me to say that.
Dr. Paluski?
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, members of our Board of Education, I'll go quickly. Started on December the 25th, we had our second meeting of our School Safety Task Force, co-chaired with Chief Finks and Chief Tessing. I also attended the story time with pastors on 1026 at 7th Street Elementary School. Also on 1026 was Glenview Elementary School luncheon, in which we all attended, and I applaud them as well. On 1027, I did the visitation of Miss Tori Moody, and my heart still goes out to that family, and I do applaud the students of North Little Rock as they've come together to support their student body. Some members of the staff and I attended on the 28th, leading PLC's district-wide, which is a state initiative. On November the 1st, Ms. Barker and I, we had our superintendent parent advisory meeting. On the 2nd of November, I attended our monthly mayor meeting and also the Career Expo that was at the convention center, where we had 535 freshmen have an opportunity to interact for about 2 hours with over 80 different employers in Central Arkansas. And it was awesome to see them being engaged and thinking about being future ready. Also with Ms. Parson West, we attended a meeting about Rock Region Metro. Also on November the 4th, I attended the FYI luncheon at the Chamber. Also on November the 4th, this is a first for me, I was invited to Crestwood Elementary School, and if they raised over a certain amount of money, which they did, I think it was over $10,000, they raised $15,000, and I had 8 pies plastered in my face, simultaneously by a student and a teacher. I think you could imagine their excitement by putting a pie in the face, but it was a wonderful fundraiser. That was on the 4th. The 7th, we had a very unique opportunity. The Arkansas Lady Razorbacks were here in North Little Rock. They had a practice during the day over at the high school. I had an opportunity. On the 8th, I had an opportunity with Mrs. Hatch to, my staff knows there's no surprise. We had an awesome visit to the Little Rock Zoo as we talk about a partnership, and that was a great opportunity. On the 11th, 9th, I want to thank Mr. Barnes. We kicked off our superintendent student advisory to give student voice. And so, Madam President, members of the board, that's my report for this month.
I have one other thing, Madam President.
Yes, ma'am.
Compliments again. The Glenview Elementary School had fun night out literacy, and those were the superstars from the high school to come in and help them, and this was Tuesday night. So again, that's a shout out to you all, because the principals are getting involved with what you are trying to do.
Awesome. Can I do a shout out? I attended the North Little Rock School District Retired Employees Association meeting this past week, and we had Miss Bobby Riggins and Miss Crystal Barker there. And Bobby had said she was going to speak about 10 minutes. Well, about 30 minutes later, she was still going. She was wonderful. She has such a wealth of knowledge of how she can get in there and help people in this community. It's just unbelievable. And our group was all fired up to help in any way possible. And then, of course, Crystal, she did some preaching and she did some teaching, and she was incredible. And we're just so proud of those two and the things that they're doing for this district. And our group is going to help as much as we can. I know Crystal is trying to get a large group of people to come in and be mentors and sit with students and let them read to them. And so we're going to try and do that. And also, we decided that we were going to get from the principals a list of teachers that were new to their building. And so members of the retired employees are going to write notes. They took names this last time. It just gets sent to their school, so you don't know anything about the teacher except their name, and just to give them some encouragement. So we're hoping that that can help too. So we're just looking for ways that we can support.
Awesome. Anyone else? All righty. We're down to 9.1, legislative update. Mr. Steele, is there any updates?
Well, just very briefly, as all of you know, the election is over, and we have a new governor, but we will not officially have a new governor until January. Be that as it may, there's still a lot of meetings that are going on, and the governor is already very active about meeting with various delegations and so forth. It's one of those things. Our state constitution requires the election be in November and the legislative session be in January, and the swearing in is not to the first week in January. So there's not much time to prepare. But on the next meeting, Representative Carlton Wing will be here, and he will make the presentation for me, the December meeting. He would have come tonight, but he said he wanted time to meet with the incoming governor, and then he'll kind of give us a brief on what to expect during the legislative session. Do not have anyone from the Senate side yet. We're waiting on a confirmation from that, but he's scheduled to be here at our regular meeting in December. And of course, you all know we can't move forward with our elections until all the votes have been certified. That certification has to happen at the county level and by the Secretary of State, and that has not happened yet. There are still a few military ballots that need to be counted, and once that's done, we can move forward. That concludes my legislative update.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. 10.1, classified personnel policy committee report. Is there one?
We have no report.
All righty. 10.2, licensed personnel policy committee report. Welcome.
Hello, Madam President Reedus, Superintendent Dr. Paluski, and the members of the school board. Thank you for having us, the LPPC, here tonight. Last time I didn't really get much of a chance to introduce myself due to the parent-teacher conferences, but my name is Justin Cobb. I am a math teacher at the North Little Rock COE.
And I was not able to be present at all because of conferences last time. My name is Brandy Hansen. I teach science at the 6th grade campus, and this is my 7th year in the district. And I am the co-chair for LPPC this year.
And we're here to present our October 10th LPPC minutes. Our first item that we went over was presented by Dr. Paluski and Mrs. Colquitt about board docs and updating our numbering system. What we decided from there was that we need to match up what was going on board docs with what was currently in our policy, except for the changes in the numbering system and just making sure that things match up.
We also approved our September minutes, which were presented at the October board meeting. Mr. Smith led us through a calendar discussion, which has been ongoing, and we just talked about some of the different options that we currently have available for the calendar, talking about a 12-month calendar, length of summers, and all of the sort of technical things going into building the calendars. We also had some questions from teachers about the 5% salary increases report, and so we clarified what the purpose of that report is and what it actually means, and that was the only attachment we had to our minutes was that 5% salary increases report.
And then FMLA policy, we had communicated to Mr. Smith to communicate that out to staff about how to use FMLA policy for covering COVID leave and how they could take back some of their sick days that they lost to COVID, being out for 5 days for COVID, and how they could use that to help them with the retention stipend. And then, oh, sorry. And the last thing, item number 7, our member, Mr. Kilberry, presented an item to overhaul the stipends for the district, and just to start that process. Any questions?
Ms. Person West, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Ms. Wonkum?
I do not.
Ms. Williams?
What part of the process you are going to use as far as coming up for the year 22, 23? How would we go about voting for the 4 things that were presented last month?
Correct.
Year-round, you know, those
calendar.
4 items. So will you have something verbal? I saw something in the report that it was mentioned, but I know that Dr. Paluski and his staff, but you all should have an input as far as the survey and when it's going to be coming out. That's what I'm concerned about.
Correct. So at our next LPPC meeting, we are going to be talking about some calendar options and creating a survey to send out to staff, and then from there send out to the community.
Okay, Mrs. Smith would like to say something.
We just met on this today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you all for having me. So in order to basically walk you through the process quickly, we've developed 4 options in which is now in the LPPC and CPPC hands. We are distributing that. They are draft models, and so there is nothing final about them. All of the members are going to bring their input to the December 5th meeting. From there, we are going to send out a staff survey and narrow it down to 2 calendars, which we plan to bring back to the administration and then plan to send out to the community. After we receive community feedback, we will then send it out to the staff with those final 2 for a final vote and hopefully an agreement and bringing back to the board for final approval.
Thank you, and thank you for answering my question last month, okay?
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay.
Ms. Temple?
So it's going to, I'm sorry, go on.
I just wanted to understand better the FMLA, and you said that it didn't count on sick time, and I thought that the COVID wasn't held against the pay, the bonus.
Yes, ma'am. So if individuals are going through the proper process as far as FMLA is required, because there used to be a resolution in place in regards from the state, and then North Little Rock adopted that resolution where COVID days automatically went into FMLA. Now that is no longer in place, and so you have to walk through the steps. That is what was asked to be provided from my office, and that is what we did provide to the staff to explain how to walk through that process so those days would be excused.
Okay, thank you, that makes sense.
Ms. McLean?
I have no questions.
Mr. Steele?
No questions.
Did you have one, Ms. Person?
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understood what you just said, Mr. Smith, that originally it's going to go out with 4 options, and then you're going to come back with the best 2, right? Is that what you said?
That is
okay.
that is the plan at this time. Yes,
okay, I was just making sure I heard that right. That's it.
I have no questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, 11.1, ESSA School Index Report Card Data.
So, Madam Superintendent and members of our board, I'll welcome our staff members up. And just to preset this, that if you remember all the way back on August 18th, we presented in full transparency to the board and to the public our 21-22 ACT Aspire data. We also, in October 20th, we talked about our first quarter data. And then tonight, we want to showcase to you, which has been recently released by the state, the ESSA School Quality, or the ESSA Index, which has a lot of different parts to it. But we do want to showcase to you tonight that data and make it available to our public as well. So I welcome our colleagues. I'll have them introduce themselves as they're going to do a very high-level overview for you.
All right, good evening, Madam Board President, Dr. Paluski, members of the board. It's great to be here. And my name is Yapia McNulty, and I am the Accountability, Assessment, Data Management Coordinator.
I'm Tracy Lightfoot. I'm Executive Director of Elementary School Performance.
Amy Jordan, and I'm the Executive Director of Secondary School Performance.
Sharisa White, Executive Director of Curriculum Innovation and Design.
All right, so we'll go ahead and dive right in. As you know, the state recently released our school report cards, and so we wanted to present that information to you and give you an opportunity to answer questions of our team. And so we're going to actually just dive right in. Here are the areas to be covered, and I believe that you have all of this information also in your board docs. So as you know, our public accountability system, really ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act, is part of our it is actually our federal mandate that replaces No Child Left Behind. Arkansas actually utilizes our ESSA process to actually rate our schools on an A through F letter grade system. And so we're going to go ahead and look at that information right now. These are the assessments that is covered. So we're looking at ACT Aspire, our Dynamic Learning Maps, our Alpha 21, and I believe that you are familiar with all of those assessments as well. This chart is actually quite interesting because this is actually what you consider to be our rubric that the state judges our performance on, and so those areas are indicated for elementary and middle school. And you can see that for elementary, we're looking at about a 35% of our score actually accounts for what we call our weighted achievement growth. Our growth, value added growth, is 50%, and 15% of that is our school quality success. On the other end is our secondary and how that is rated as well. And so again, for secondary, we're looking at 35% of our score is weighted achievement. The other 35 is our academic growth, and then another 15% is our graduation rates, and that's broken down by 4-year and 5-year. And then the last piece, our school quality success. So in a nutshell, here's how our schools performed, and we gave you a one-form, really one-stop shop to look at our data historically and also looking at our current. And I think one of the things that you're able to see from looking at this data is, of course, our pandemic did affect our students, as we talked about several times, not only across the state, but really nationwide. And so you'll see that in the 2019-2021, that is the difference in how much of a hit our ESSA scores took when we look at our student performance. Looking at our last year performance, we are starting to see our students come out of that pandemic stage, and schools are actually making positive progress towards growth. And so we see about 10 out of 13 of our schools actually improved on their ESSA school index, so that 77%, I think, is definitely a positive step in the right direction. And the last two categories that you are seeing is our goal setting to ensure that we are trying to move every school at least one letter, grade level above what they actually performed for last school year. Another thing that I'd like to quickly touch on is that our schools, 2 schools were actually recognized by the state. And so I wanted to shout out our Crestwood Elementary School. They were actually within the top 6 to 10% of all schools. And so they are receiving about $24,000 from the state for the great work that they've done. And Center of Excellence actually did a phenomenal job this year. And they are actually within the top 5% of our Arkansas schools. And that is for growth as well as for graduation. And when you look at their data, they actually outperform their 2019-2018 index data, so it's pretty impressive. Very, very proud of all of them. So this is just a quick analysis of the work and looking at our data overall. As you can see, stated 77% of our schools did increase their SS school index. There are still opportunities for growth when we look at our weighted achievement area, which are things that we will look at and are beginning to address. Our value-added growth is another area that we'd like to tap into to make sure that more of our schools are actually looking at that data and how to support our kids that need that support. And our school quality success is also another area that we're looking at to continue to improve. I believe this next chart is just putting everything into context. As you can see, our state, overall, when we look at their performance, we saw about an increase of 59% of schools increasing their ESSA school index. As we said, our schools actually increased 77%. So again, we are definitely on the right path. So for next steps, and this part is just really sharing with you that we have began the process of really talking to our schools, our leaders, our MCL and coaches about what the ESSA scores mean, and really breaking it down so that they understand each category. And that helps to really put into context the work that needs to be done in order for us to grow as a district. And so it feels good, and we're able to utilize that data now to really set goals and work towards greater performance outcomes. So at this time, I believe our school performance directors also have a few little tidbits that they're going to share and dig into a little bit more, right?
So what might this mean for schools and what's happening in schools when we relate that data? And so we wanted to answer the why. The goal is for our leadership teams to calibrate in classroom walkthroughs, and they're able to communicate learning by pitching a classroom. That is our current work. So we have done rotations at this point and have completed them in all elementary schools. And we are moving into that work in secondary schools. So we are implementing an observation feedback protocol in which we increase the level of skills of the principal, because we're creating instructional leaders, the MCLs and instructional coaches, and our assistant principals. So with that being said, when our leaders know more and they understand the craft, then they can lead in that to develop teachers' knowledge and their experience and their practice as far as being educators. So we are using the gradual release model. When we go to our PLC presentation, we'll talk a little bit more about that, and that you can hear it from the voice of the people that have participated in that process. So with this, we'd like to close with, we're going to continue to collaborate with our curriculum and innovation team, because we're closely aligned to the work that they're doing. They're deploying in campuses. They are the experts. They vet classrooms that we see to see if that is what we're seeing. Is this an exemplar classroom? So we're replicating that process through different type of exercises and activities in the school, and that is driven by their professional learning communities, our PLCs.
If you'll just go back one slide. I'd just like to add, of course, you all have had this presentation, but of course, we've mentioned, that instructional continuity. You all picked up on it with those non-negotiables that we've established. The biggest piece here is that very last bullet, and I think we're getting better about the use of data, and I think that's going to be key. And I think we have an assessment system that we'll move toward to make sure that we can monitor that implementation fidelity and make sure that we're true to the processes that we're putting in place. So that is key, that monitoring piece. The other thing is, of course, that the coordinators are out there in the field and they are providing feedback and coaching to the teachers. Also job-embedded PD. And then the other piece of that is high-quality instructional materials, because what we know is that we have to put those resources in the hands of all teachers and all students that are aligned to our standards, but also that they have to have a really good understanding of what they're supposed to be teaching. So I feel like with everything that we've put in place, we will see that impact. However, I've said it, and I'll say it again, is that we didn't get here overnight, and it's going to take us a minute before we really see the impact that we want to see.
Are there any questions at this time?
Ms. Williams, do you have any questions?
Phenomenal report. Thank you.
Ms. West?
Everything. I had questions, but I got to the next page. You'd already answered it. So I stayed up reading all of it. So I can say to all of you all, I know where we're going and the goals that you have, and I thank you for that.
Ms. West?
If you would go back to slide 7 real quick, and I just want to just draw attention to that real fast. Just even with the hit that we took during the pandemic. I'm proud of the growth that we have made thus far, and I just want to say I appreciate all your hard work on that. And you know, we still have a few schools that need to kind of get it together on, but you know, it's coming along good. And the numbers, you know, anytime you see less red than you do the previous column, that's a good thing. And I mean, when you're looking at over 5 points in one area, that's really good. It's a phenomenal job, and I appreciate that.
Ms. Temple?
Yeah, because I do not know. What is pitching?
That's a great question. It is a term that we use, and it's part of the process that we use in this protocol. And so what it is requires when we go on what we will call it instructional rounds. When we move around to classrooms, then the leader or the assistant principal or the MCL, what we call pitch the room. You will let everyone know that are the observers who is the teacher, how long have they been teaching, giving some background, what do they teach when we enter the classroom, and what do we expect to see when we're there. So we go in, we observe what is happening, and we take data. It is only what we see. It is no opinions, it is only collection of data of what we see. Then we come out of that room, and then we debrief based on the data that we collected. And from that data, that is what we're practicing now, is how do we give effective feedback to the teacher to improve. Now, what is different in this model, and maybe other coaching models that have been used before, is this: it is a coach to impact. So the expectation is that we're teaching everyone how to zero in on one practice that we want to improve, that it will be a high impact lever, and then give them the suggestion on how to do it, and that we will see it, we name it, and we do it. So we show them how to do it, and then we're looking for impact within the next 2 days. So that means that we are engaged in that process of working with the teacher specifically, rather than giving them a list of things or speaking to them in things of what was not good, but is a growth mindset of what it is that we can do, and then give them the professional development, the modeling, or the support to change it, and that we follow up and give them practice to make sure that it comes up, and we should be seeing an increase in the data and student mastery. So that's what the pitch part of it means.
Thank you.
Good question.
Ms. Wonkum?
No questions, but thank you, ladies. We're seeing the improvement. We've set our goals to move forward, and well done. Well done.
Ms. McLean?
I had to sit and ponder all of this information that was in there. And at the end of that pondering, I came to this, I think, a great realization that we have this great superintendent that has put this alliance together of you great leaders out there here at this table, and the others that are in it, involved in it also. And that y'all are working with our teachers and our staff, and you're not using scare tactics, and you've said it, we're not going in there saying, I got you, but you're going in there and working with the teachers. And I hope that they're receiving that. I hadn't gotten any feedback from y'all about that, about how the teachers are receiving these walkthroughs that are occurring. Because I know sometimes the teachers have things that, okay, here they go. We're doing something else new now. I wonder how long this is going to last. Am I going to have to really follow through on these things? So I'm hoping that y'all are getting good feedback from the teachers, and that they're welcoming this and seeing that it can help them and help their students. And when they improve, then our school report card will improve. So I thank y'all very much, and Dr. Paluski.
I would like to say it is a process, and so everyone isn't won overnight. And just as Dr. White says, we didn't get here in a day, but it is a growth mindset. But I do want to take this opportunity to say, and I think they could maybe speak to your question or your wondering in regard to teachers, is the leaders. And what we have is fine leaders in this district, and they have embraced with an unbelievable zeal and passion that they want to do better for teaching and learning. They want their children to read, and they want them to excel. And so they have embraced this work in such a way that you would be very proud. And when we go into the next part of our presentation, we'll let you hear from them as far as those wonderings and with the voices of their experience through this.
Thank you.
Mr. Steele?
Yes, I have just a few questions at the front end. Tell me again, on 19 and 20, why was there no test scores?
That was because during the pandemic, during
Okay, I
the
thought that's what you
pandemic,
said, but
right.
I mean, but 20 and 21, we were still in a pandemic.
Are you talking about, so 2019, 2020, we did not have any ACT Aspire test
Right.
scores. The following year, we did have Aspire assessments, and so therefore we did receive our index scores. However, we did not receive an official letter grade. It is indicated unofficial because when you look at the calculation, that is where our schools would have landed if we did have letter grades.
Well, I'm glad to hear all the positiveness, and that's just a wonderful spin that I've heard from the board and you guys. I think the bottom line for me is we have to do better.
I agree.
We have to do better. I mean, grades are grades, and we invest a lot of time in this district. I don't have a issue with the effort, but I am concerned about the results. And I think until we are concerned, we really legitimately concerned about, I could remember when my son, he never did have a D. He tried to come in and put a great face on a D. This is why he got it. He could have got better. Never got an F. But that's too much. That's too much. That's too many. When I look back here at the 18, 19 scores, I see there's a tremendous drop-off. So I don't think we are serving our kids and our community the way we should be serving them. I'm not here for popularity contests or anything like that, but I'm looking at like Amboy, So it's going to help me as we continue to know how did Amboy go from a C to an F.
Yes.
And it's going to help me to know how Crestwood, who as long as I've been on the boards, always had an A. I've been to the presentation, the check presentations and all of that, and now we have what's considered our flagship school with a B. Our elementary schools are just having a very difficult time. And we've got to figure something out.
You're
But
right.
what I would like to hear more is, what do you need? And now we're looking at things and we're talking about it. We invested $250 million in facilities a few years back with a millage. So the community has supported and responded. None of you were here at that time. Certainly, superintendent was not here at that time. But the community has shown that they care and will invest in this district. And I think before we look at things like going back to them and say, hey, we need more money, we've got to develop a better product. And we are all, everybody in this room, are responsible for that product in the end. So as for me, one board member, I applaud the greatness and enthusiasm. I think it's good. I think that there's been a good leadership team, like my seatmate here has just mentioned, assembled. But we have to start having results. because it's a matter of time before the Department of Education starts to really come in here and look at what we're doing. And I think, and I want to see as one board member, what's the plan? How are we going to get from an F to something else?
So-
I don't want to come back, and I don't really want to come back as a board. I'm just one board member.
So-
I don't want to celebrate a D. I don't have
So-
a problem with celebrating improvement, but we can do better.
So,
The,
no, go ahead.
go ahead. No, probably you want to.
No, I appreciate that sentiment, Mr. Steele, because you're absolutely right. This community deserves better. In fact, if you looked at data 5 years prior to 18 and 19, as you know from the 100-day transition plan report, shows stagnant academic achievement prior to that result, or prior to 18 and 19. Then we have a pandemic, and as we always say to our staff, it has an impact. It's not an excuse. In fact, if you look at the NAEP results, the National Assessment of Educational Progress results, known as the nation's report card that just was released last month, has shown nationally in reading and math that we've lost 2 decades of progress. That's no excuse. It's where we are. And it's everything that we put in place. We've shown results, and we've not even put in a new system and a new structure to improve the academic achievement. And I do applaud the fact that you recognize that our whole reorganization has focused on 2 primary things: improving leaders as instructional leaders, and you heard some of that evidence, and 2 is to improve teaching and learning with our teachers. There's only one thing that improves teaching and learning, and that's a classroom teacher. That's the only thing that's going to improve academic achievement. And so it's why we've done the things that we've done. It's why we've done the curriculum audit report that shows that there are systemic issues that we have faced that have gotten us the results that we've gotten in the past. And so I'm confident, and I know at the end of the day, I'm responsible. And I'm going to be held accountable to the results, because that's what you've hired me to do, to improve the academic achievement of all of our students. And so we take those comments, Mr. Steele, to heart, because we serve a community that, quite frankly, we've been underserving for many, many years. And so, as you can see, we put a lot of things in place, school improvement-wise, to target the academic achievement and the improvement. And as we've said, from the curriculum management audit, it's going to take 3 to 5 years to be able to do that. But I'm confident that even in 1 year, that we're going to, when we come back a year from now, we're going to see some different results that will show that we're moving in the right direction. And I think that's the takeaway of this, is that 10 of our 13 schools have shown improvement. And what it shows is that we're starting to come out of the pandemic. And our focus has to be on recovery. And that's what we've been dedicated to, is showing that of all the things that have happened, that we're making progress. Slow progress, but we're making progress.
And I feel that. But we talk a lot about data. Right. And this is the data.
It is.
What we have to deal with at this time. And just what I want to see as a board member is, what's the plan? Specifically, what's the plan? One thing I want to recommend, at least saying a plan on, this reason why I say recommendation, because the superintendent, you said it, but it seems to me, not to be too simplistic, that if our kids are struggling academically, maybe they need more time. But year after year, we talk about the fact that we have only one school with after-school program. Is there a plan to have additional education opportunities for especially our elementary schools? We only have one with an after-school program now.
Well, and so the short answer is yes, and we have a second program, which is 7th Street Elementary School, which we had a little bit delayed, that will start in second semester. And we've been able to use, and remember, we've not had a summer school program before. We were able to use ESSER funds to be able to do that. Those are going to run out. So we're going to have to figure out how do we include, as we look down the road, a summer school program, so we're extended day. And I agree with you. You know, I've been very adamant about an after-school program for every single one of our schools. For it's not only enrichment, but we're also going to.
What's it going to take to make that happen?
Well, I think one thing we're going to run out of
Money.
money in order that extra money. So we're going to have to think strategically. Maybe it's some of our most neediest schools are the ones that have after-school programs, rather than all of our schools until we eventually can afford to be able to do that. But it's a valuable piece when we look at on-school time, meaning the time that we have with them after school, and then extended year time, which we consider that over the summer as well. I don't ever see us going away from not having a summer school program, but we're going to use the funds that we have to get us there. But we're going to have to think strategically as a board when we think about our priorities, especially with our Tier 3 schools, the schools that are in most need of support. We need to do some things differently with them.
Okay, I'd like to have a comment, please. Madam
Yeah,
Chair.
Are you done?
Well, I did have one more. Just last comment. When you talk about, and we had a legislative committee on closing the achievement gap here. And I think, Tracy, I think you're very aware of that committee, where we had the best and the brightest who came together and met for several years and talking about how do we close the achievement gap in Arkansas. And one of the things that came out of that committee was that we pay much more attention to the schools that are doing poor. And so what are we doing, especially any type of special plan we have for these schools, these 4 schools who have Fs? Any special emphasis, special programming to target these F schools?
Well, number one, we have what we call our Tiered 3 level of support right now. So there's an intense level with our curriculum instruction staff, our school performance staff, in each one of those schools every single week. And we have all that data to be able to share. So they're receiving a much more higher level of support than they ever have. But it still comes back to the basics, fundamentals of teaching and learning. We've restructured our literacy block. So we're adding more time. We're teaching our teachers how to teach strategically in small groups to improve their literacy instruction with students. That hasn't been done before. In fact, we haven't been teaching science. We just put in a 30-minute block this year. So we've restructured our use of time because we only have so much use of time. I think there's more innovative things that we can do, hence the E4 plan when we talk about theme schools and innovative approaches to schools. Because at the end of the day, what we want to create in every single one of our schools across this entire district is a rigorous, relevant, meaningful classroom where students are engaged at high levels, because we know how the brain learns today more than we ever have, because learning is an integrated piece. So when they can connect it to themselves, they can connect to their community, they can connect it to the real world. We're teaching for critical thinking and a higher level of long-term memory as well. Those are the systems and structures that we're putting in place. And we do have a long-term plan, which is part of E4, which I will be bringing you shortly in pieces and segments within the new year, of some innovative approaches that we want to take.
Mm-hmm. I do disagree with you on one issue. You are not accountable by yourself. We are all accountable for what happens here in the North Little Rock School District, and we're all together, and we're going to be with you. But it's really, really time to move forward. Thank you.
Before I ask my question, Ms. Williams, you had something?
I didn't have a question. I would just like, I've had a statement, really. I understand Mrs. Seals' concerns, but when the State Department put out, it's not that we're not improving. Dr. Nutterly, 2 months ago, you gave us where schools were improving, period. But all over the state of Arkansas, the first year, this is a statement for general public, remember, they tested our students during the pandemic. First test. On the second time when they were getting out of, they did not, I'll say the first time when they took the test, there was no accountability. They didn't grade it. And then when the kids were coming out of COVID, then on the second year, they decided to test the students, and they had not been in classrooms. So all over the state is my understanding, Dr. Nuttall, that all schools dropped. And not that our North Little Rock wasn't doing anything, because you know one big school in Little Rock who always had an A, and you know who I'm talking about, they fell to a C. So it's not just us, Mr. Steele, it's all over the state. And I see here what we're trying to do. It's not that we haven't been improving, because the lady there brought us proof in of every school how they have improved this first semester. And then she showed us the priority schools that we still have out there. But now, since they put the letter grade out, we are dealing with the letter grades. And to walk through a school now, you can see a difference, you can know a difference, and there is work to be done. And you heard of Mr. Steele say 3 times, 1, 2. It's not going to change in a day. It's going to take patience. But I can give you out there credits and the data you have been bringing to us every board meeting and showing us proof of the pudding. I think we'll get there with the 5-year program that we expected to have. And you know, he knows, I know, we know we still have work to do, but the work that you are doing, I'm just saying, I applaud you, okay? That's all.
All righty, we're down to me. I just wanted to say you guys in the last 2.5 months have done a phenomenal job.
Yes.
From the every luncheon that I've been to and they take us into the classrooms, I'm just in awe of the change from whence we came from. I'm like Dr. Paluski. I'm confident enough to believe that by this time next year, it's going to be a total different talk. I'm just being optimistic, and I believe it. My only question was when it comes to new teachers. I would like to see, when you said some teachers were going to come, I would like to hear from new teachers, fresh off the boat teachers, to see how they feel that things are going. Not taking anything away from our seasoned teachers, but it's just that some things that are taught to become a teacher, you don't learn it in the classroom until you get on the job, like classroom management and how to manage the class and all that. You don't learn that until you get there. And so those are the teachers that I would like to hear from. How is it going since you've been in the North Florida School District? You're fresh, you're new. How is coaching going? That's what I would like to see. So. Yes,
Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to piggyback on you, that when we go in these rooms and we see what's happening, it is amazing. And the classroom management, today, those kids were the best behaved kids. We blocked hallways and they were having to weave through us and they were saying, "Excuse me," and they were so polite. And it's not just what they're learning, but the excitement. We walked in the classrooms and they want to read to us. They want to show us how they can read. And so you can see it when you go, and I appreciate so much the efforts that y'all have to drive that. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. You're doing a wonderful job. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. West.
I was just going to say real quick, and Ms. McNulty, I remember the last time when you sat here with your white blouse on and your black skirt or black slacks. I remember the exasperated look that you had because you were very disappointed in where things were at that particular time. And I can tell the difference in how you feel today presenting your information because you're more confident in it. You have on bright colors. You were able to, and I could see that the pride of the increase, and it's not, we didn't get here overnight. And it's not going to be an overnight process to get out of this. And if you kind of go back into, I grew up in the country, but if you kind of think about it like this, sometimes when it rains a whole lot, but if you ride your four-wheeler through the mud, sometimes you get stuck. And it's going to take effort to get that four-wheeler out of the mud. You're going to probably go home muddy. Mud in your face, mud all over your clothes, your shoes. But you get your four-wheeler out. But once you get your four-wheeler out, you're able to spray it off, and you can wash those clothes, but you're able to come out on the other side of where it's been messy and dirty and nasty in a better way. So, I understand just with looking at some of these particular schools and just sitting down having conversations with some of the students, I realize that it's so much that goes on in some of these households that you would not it's just amazing to me. Some of these students have a lot going on at home, and some don't have the support at home that they necessarily need. So we always have to keep in mind that component. And let's go to the, some of these students, they don't even have mom and dad at home. So it's a lot of variables that you do have to take in consideration. And it's and just for the public, you may see, certain letter grades, but what I see is a trend going up. And I do understand that for some students, COVID happened and it was really, really a bad situation. And not only that, I do know for a fact that some students had a lot of stuff going on in their house to where they weren't able to focus, concentrate. It was a lot going on. And how I know is because I tried to stay in contact and plugged in with some of the schools and some of the students. And I want to know, what do you need here at this particular school? And it's just sitting down, it's having those conversations with students, you will find out a whole lot, and they'll tell you everything. So I see a trend going up. And it's going to be a while, and once you presented that particular day, and sometimes I go back and read the notes from the previous meetings, but once you see that and you understand that it's a plan, that's not going to be 1 year, 2 years. We're going to have this same probably conversation next year because it's not going to be perfect next year. And it's not going to probably be perfect the year after that, but we're going to see a trend going up. And that's what we want. As long as we're not trending down, okay, then we good.
Again, wonderful job. I'm excited. I'm staying positive. I'm looking for future ready.
Future ready, that's right. New vision.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
11.2, Professional Learning Communities Overview.
So, Madam President, members of our Board of Education, I'm going to turn it over to our Office of School Performance that's going to talk a little bit more at a high level about a reform approach, and just to learn a little bit more, as we believe that this is one key component to our success going forward.
Good evening. Again, Madam President, members of the board, and Dr. Paluski, thank you for having us. Again, I'm Amy Jordan, the Executive Director of Secondary School Performance.
And I'm Tracy Lightfoot.
Batman and Robin. Yin and yang.
It is yin and yang. We are here to give you just a brief overview through our PLC process. And as I mentioned before, it is through this lens that you'll understand more of our process and what we are doing, and through the tools that we're using to move our school district forward. We are following a framework by the DeFores that speaks to a group of educators that are committed to working together on an ongoing process of collective inquiry and action research, and that is to achieve better results for the students we serve. PLCs operate under the assumption that the key to improve learning for students is continuous, it is job embedded, and It is of learning that is committed to a process to get better. There's some research that is there that speaks to the professional learning community process.
And also, we just want you to know that, there are ultimately two kinds of schools, and you can talk about it by building or by district, and that is that they're either learning enriched or they're learning impoverished. So if you see the curve of the teacher learning going up, the student learning also improves. Otherwise, it's the other way. You almost never see them cross. So what we're trying to do in our professional learning communities, that just means groups of learners are coming together, and they're teachers, or they might be staff, they might be administrators, they might be executive team, but they're coming together in communities to learn to improve their practice. That's the point. It's how do we get better at what we're doing so that we improve learning.
So it is centered around 4 questions. What do we want our students to know and do? How will we know if they have learned it? What are we going to do if they have not? And what will we do if they already know it? And those questions drive everything around a professional learning community's work. What it is not a meeting, it's not a discussion, it's not a panel, it is a process. And that is where educators get together. They have an intentional agenda of what is going to be discussed and what is going to, the activities that is about examination of student work that has certain outcomes at the end of it.
And I know you're going to see this over and over and over again, because this is exactly what Dr. Paluski wants us to all understand, that our goal and our focus area is right here. And almost every time that Ms. Lightfoot and I speak, we talk about this, because this is the bread and butter of what we do for our work. We are looking to improve schools. So we want to improve the school planning. We want to make sure we're checking the curriculum planning, so what is being taught. We're double checking on curriculum delivery, how it's being taught. And then we're looking at the curriculum monitoring, which is how it's being assessed. And that is exactly what we do. And the way that we build that capacity and make sure it's happening is through small communities of learners, the PLCs, the professional learning communities. So I know we use a lot of jargon in education, but just like Ms. Lightfoot said, it's not a meeting, not something you could send in an email. It's not housekeeping. It is focused on teaching and learning. So this is an example agenda of a professional learning community that we have here every month, and that is our principals meeting. So again, we don't come together just so that we can share deadlines and here's some paperwork and things like that. We're actually learning when we come together as principals, and you're going to hear from a couple in a few minutes. We have a learning objective for them as well, just like a teacher would have for students, because each of us is learning from one another. This is just a sample agenda when we did actually discuss with our principals what are professional learning communities. Just like we're giving you an overview, we took a deep dive with them to make sure that when we're having those in our buildings, they're all with the same expectation. So we gave them some research, we gave them some data. We ourselves are a professional learning community between the executive directors and the principals. So at each layer, at each level, we are professional learning communities.
So at this time, we would like Principal Bost and Principal McKinley to come forward, and it's through their lens that they will share with you as participants in this process. Maybe we'll give you an opportunity, Mr. Steele, to hear the how and why we're driving forward, and then maybe you will get a sense of what you may not see, but the urgency that we all are experiencing in this work through that lens. The photos that you are seeing there are part of what you see, different communities of learners that are engaged in this process daily. We are committed to this work weekly. We are committed to a fidelity to this process so that the goal is it's internalized. It's not something that you do that's rehearsed and that is a part of what we do, because we're looking to be learning enriched, not a learning impoverished place. So if you would like to, I'd like to introduce Courtney Bost, is my mentee. She is a first-year principal at Lakewood Elementary, and she could maybe share some of her perspectives as a learner in this process.
Thank you for the chance to just speak and on kind of behalf of what's going on in our schools, from those of us who are living it every day. we have been surrounded by the teams, our executive team, and the curriculum team since we started meeting in July. And we have been really a unified front ever since then as far when it comes to what we want, which is high achieving schools and really high achieving students. And so from the get-go, from the first principals meeting, we have, like they said, the PLCs, what do we want, the walkthroughs in the classroom. There is complete support. I have grown just as an educator myself in the last 9 weeks in my ability to walk into a classroom and within 10 minutes be able to tell you one extremely positive thing going on in that room and the one thing that I see that could make the biggest turnaround. And then I've also learned that not only then do I leave that feedback, do I coach that teacher, but then I also go back and I check in. Do I see that it's really happening? Feedback doesn't do anything if we don't check to see. And that's what I'm seeing in my school. I'm leaving the feedback, I'm going back in, and I'm seeing it in action. And when I can leave teachers those positive notes of praise of, hey, you did what we asked, it's turning around. And to me, that's what's going to make the biggest difference for our schools.
Do you, Ms. Bost, have a goal for your school?
We will be an A school.
And it is urgent?
That's what I want to hear.
No, we will be an
That's what I
A
wanna
school.
hear.
Yes,
Thank
we
you.
will. We are 9 points away. We will be an A school.
Thank you.
Ms. McKinley?
Okay, I was waiting on a formal introduction.
Mrs. McKinley, the awesome principal at Meadow Park Elementary School in which we were today, doing amazing things.
And a great singer as well.
You need no introduction.
For the record. There you go.
No,
And a great
honestly.
singer as well. She could sing it to you.
I could,
Oh,
but I
you
won't.
sang, huh?
Oh, yes.
Oh, she done
So
took the
for the task at
microphone.
hand, I really, I wanted to say ditto to everything that you've heard because it's so real. But I just want to start by saying the word growth. Will you all say growth with me, please?
Growth.
Growth.
Yeah, and I'm talking about growth for me as the leader, growth from my educators, and absolutely growth from my scholars, and you're gonna see it. I'm so excited about this year and the work that we are, that you see and that you're hearing about, and just know that it's real. It is very real. When we attend the principal meetings, there are things that we are learning that we can immediately take back to our campus and immediately implement. Just Thursday, Dr. Hooper talked about the exit tickets. I don't know if you've talked to them about exit tickets. Our teachers are turning them in weekly. And she talked about and gave us feedback. And so today when I led PLCs, guess what I talked about in my PLC? Exit tickets and how we can make them better and how we need to raise the rigor with the exit tickets. And it's just those types of things. And then even with Ms. Lightfoot and all the coordinators coming out, and I just have to have a transparent moment. For them believing in me, for them believing in Meadow Park says a lot. Their first instructional round was at Meadow Park. That like never happens. No one comes to Meadow Park and want to, think, what can I learn? Oh my gosh, I'm going to learn from our teachers. I have some amazing educators at Meadow Park. Amazing. And I'm just so excited to lead them every single day. And it's just wonderful. But I do want to mention Ms. McNulty as well. She came in, she scheduled data meetings with all the principals. And for our first meeting, she said, okay, I want to look at your data and we're going to talk about your school. And I said, Ms. McNulty, I just want to be honest with you. I said, I'm strong in a lot of areas, but data, I'm kind of weak in that. And she said, stop right there. She said, don't let me hear you say that again. And I said, I'm sorry. She said, I'm serious. She said, the good things that I'm hearing about you in Meadow Park, we're not going to start this meeting with that, so don't say that. So to me, that's personal. That's a personal thing. She didn't have to stop me there. She could have just said, that's okay, we're going to make you better, but she didn't. She said, let's change that mindset. Let's change the way you think. Let's change the way you're looking at things through your lens. And when I say growth, it starts with me. I have to admit, I had probably gotten stagnant for a while because, again, it's not about people looking at me and what I'm saying and all that, but to have Ms. Lightfoot believe in me and pour into me the way she has, growth is all I can say. and it just puts me in a different mindset, and then I take it right back to my educators. And with them, when you say that you were in classrooms and you saw the scholars happy and you saw the educators happy, they are happy. That was not fake. That was not a dog and pony show. That was real. And it just means a lot that we can be fed and be fed into, and then take it right back, and then I give that to them, because I'm telling you, happy teachers make happy scholars, and it makes me happy. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say.
And I just want to add that neither of them added what they've helped us do at the secondary level. And so that's another component that I want to share. So as Ms. McKinley mentioned, the first set of those instructional walks was at her campus. And then the elementary principals learned in a group, in a cohort. And then these two got to come to the secondary level. And we started at the 6th grade campus, and we brought administrators from 6 and 7, 8, and we walked, and they modeled just like a great teacher would do. They modeled for what the secondary principals will, and it's the same seamless process. And then when we had our principals meeting, we all went, and we all went to Lakewood. And so we all got to see different types of things. And so the high school principal, Dr. St. Louis, got to watch first graders, and Mr. Clark was afraid he was going to step on a kindergartner. But they found those great practices, and we found that practice in what we need to do as leaders that can be replicated across pre-K through 12. And I just want to commend Ms. Lightfoot, Dr. Hooper, Dr. Pawlowski for their vision and for the work that they're bringing into. You say pouring into, it's as well into myself. Those experiences are making all of us better. And you're going to see it in the products of what the students are able to do the next time that there is any kind of data that we're going to be collecting.
Well, and I will say, Ms. Lightfoot and Dr. Hooper, I mean, being a new principal, I mean, I could probably tell you 100 dumb questions that I feel like I have to ask, but I mean, there's not a question that I can't ask them and receive the guidance to proceed in the correct manner, and knowing that I'm doing what's best for my students. And then just personally, they are showing me through their feedback how to then give that to others in a positive way, where it's not threatening, it's not you're doing it wrong, here's what we can do though to make it a step better.
Okay, let's start, Mr. Steele.
It's a good presentation. I mean, you do a phenomenal job at Meadow Park, especially with community involvement. I mean, anybody that can get Rico Bennett to come to their school every day, you're doing a phenomenal job. So what's it going to take, in your opinion, to take that phenomenal enthusiasm to improve academically to where these scores look better?
We're on the path right now. I need you to give us some time. That's what I need. I need time. I need more of the teaching and learning that's going on right now. We have not had this. I have not had support at this level since I've been in administration. I've been in administration for 8 years.
That's a shame.
I've not. I have not. I have not had that. And my school has not had that. My educators, we have not had that. We were just Meadow Park down there at the end. You know, we had a D, do your thing. Oh, y'all are great. Oh, y'all have cheerleaders. They won the competition. Yay. That was it. But in terms of coming in and changing education and the way we teach and putting that emphasis back on the tier 1, but then also realizing that tier 1 is not going to improve until I, as the leader, improve, we've not had it. I need time.
How are your discipline issues? They're down?
My discipline is down. We are hot and heavy in PBIS, and that's a mindset change as well. But we just to give you a little bit of data, we did a kickoff for our PBIS in October. Last year, we had 65 long forms from August to October. This year, from August to October, we had 17.
Okay. All right.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's awesome.
I might have to sing a song.
And Lakewood, you're doing all the reports I've heard, you're doing a great job. I will get up there.
Thank you.
Dark Hollow CDC will be great advocates
Yes.
for your school.
Yes.
That's all.
Miss McLean.
Okay, this is what I was wanting to hear. Y'all told me I was going to hear it, and I'm hearing it from y'all. And that's music to my ears. Let's get back to singing again. That's music to my ears. And I'm hoping and assuming that it's being received like that in all of the schools. I know we've got 2 schools represented here.
And let's be honest, teachers are scared. Teachers are apprehensive. I would be lying to you. I've been in this district for 20 years. I would be lying to you if I said any different. Change is hard. And because there hasn't always been the support of people who want to make you better, you just had someone maybe trying to get you out. This is different. And so it is still, for some people, it is hard to accept that we're pushing you up. We're not trying to push you out. We're here to make you stronger and better, and to make you a cohesive team as a school. And so it is still a work in progress. It is not, just like we didn't get here overnight as far as the A's and the D's and the F's, we didn't get to where we are with our teachers and where we are, the mentality, overnight either. And it's not going to change overnight.
Thank you.
Thank you for your honesty. I appreciate that. I have to say one thing. The book you're using, Richard DeFore, Learning by Doing. I had a 7th and 8th grade teacher, Miss Leela Gooden in Carlisle. If she said it once, she said it 1,000,000 times. We learn to do by doing. And she was great. I've remembered it my entire life, and I thought, my gosh, he took her little saying for his book. But we had started talking about professional learning communities before I retired. I had gone to some meetings. I actually got to hear him speak. And but that was back in the beginning when everything was topsy-turvy and people were using it the wrong way and calling it just a meeting. And so now y'all are doing it correctly, thank goodness. That's very good news, and it sounds like you're doing a bang-up job the way you're doing it too. So we appreciate you.
Ms. Wonkum?
I just want to highlight, you just said you needed time. We're going to get back to you. And you just said it's going to be a mindset change, and we're doing that. And you just said in 8 years we have never given you support.
That's right.
And it took this man to give you the support and put these ladies in place. So y'all excuse me while I'm getting emotional, because change is coming.
Yes, it
And we are here upon it. And it is going to be us, the North Little Rock School District, setting the state standards. And they're going to come to us, okay, and ask us, how do we do that statewide? So while Negative Nancy may be talking, let me tell you about the positives that we are doing here in North Little Rock. So thank you, and thank you. We're getting there. I've said it once to that man, and I'll say it again. He inherited a hornet's nest with some vipers. And we're getting there.
I would like to say to that, Ms. Wonkum, and I do appreciate your passion, because what I do hear in you is that you believe. And that's what it takes, is to believe that we can be great. And I've seen it in teachers' eyes. I've seen it in leaders' eyes. I've seen it in my partner's eyes, because we will be great. But I also saw it in a representative of the state that walked with us and saw our process. And she believed, and she saw, she didn't have a lot of questions, but just wanted to come back and to watch, because we have a plan, we have a process. You may not be clear about that yet, Mr. Steele, but they are. We're all on one same mind, and we're working the plan. And we're working it step by step, and we will make changes, and we will change what the data says.
Ms. Temple?
It's outstanding. I believe that.
Ms. Temple?
I do want to see that plan.
Ms. Temple?
Yes. I want to just piggyback again. I see it. I saw it today. The kids were so well behaved. I mean, they just were. I mean, and there was a lot going on. And when we went to your school, your brand new principal, starting up the school year, and the unity that was there already just blew me away. It was amazing. So the work, you can see it. It's there, and I appreciate all of the efforts.
Ms. Person West.
I'm going to go ahead and defer to Ms. Williams because she's about to bust at the seams. I had to go last.
She's next.
Go on.
No,
Let her go.
just has, who is the math coaches?
This one
I
that's here?
want,
The karate lady.
I want to commend you. A principal gave you a high comment at the school because her math teachers were not, they didn't know how to teach. That's the bottom line. We have a lot of teachers, but you have stepped in and made a difference. And I want to say that to you, and thank you so much. And to you too,
It's phenomenal.
to you too, the leader, when I open it up and read it, awesome. Miss Jordan, your reports in that week that Miss Cole Quick sent out, and all we have to do is click it, and you've gone to every school and telling us everything you're doing, that's what makes me happy in the North Rock School District. You doing things, you can see, and it's encouraging if you read what is put out, board members, you could understand what's going on. And I appreciate you being in your school, and you as the new principal, and we've been to all of these schools, and everybody got work on the board. I mean, it's just awesome. It's a new day has come, and I appreciate you all very much for your hard work. Keep on keeping on. Miss Nutley with your data girl. Keep on.
The data girl.
You told us, and what I love about it, you told us 2 months ago, you showed us that there is increase. You're not going backwards, but you're still moving forward. Although when you look at that, we knew that this was coming because it happened to the what? Whole state. It's not just us. But I want to say I appreciate you, Dr. White, your math person back there. Your hires, you're good hires. And I appreciate that. And Dr. Hooper, for all you do, thank you very much. They gave you compliments today. I'm just proud. I'm excited. Like you all were excited when you came. I've been excited, and the day I was off the wall. We walk into a classroom, and teachers keep on teaching, and the students don't even look at us. And going down the hall, you got one person, one student with their hand up doing this. That means you don't talk up in here.
She said that to all of us, by the way. She said, hands up, everybody stop talking.
And I had to tell him, don't you see the hands up? And I want to say, I have nothing but compliments for you. Keep putting out your weekly reports through Miss Colquitt. I enjoyed it. You called Miss Lightfoot, you call yours the Leader
Yes, ma'am.
magazine, and you haven't given yours a name yet.
No, ma'am, do you have a suggestion? I'll take one.
It's good. It's good. The superintendent never had a Sonic, and you had that in your report. But anyway, thank you. That's all I got to say. Yes, I was busting it with the.
That's fine. And when I see it, I'm gonna let you go and have it, ma'am. I'm gonna let you have it.
Ms. Person West.
My turn. Okay. She done made me forget what I was gonna say. Oh, I was just gonna speak to the fact that I remember when my first few months on the board, I was utterly confused because I sat here and I tried to read and keep up and try to process what I was doing because I wanted to make sure that I was doing a good job. But when you have curriculums that's all over the place, I can only imagine how students may have felt. And then, or either teacher, the frustration with teachers. And just like Dr. Redis wanted to hear from newer teachers, I wanted, to hear from more of the tenured teachers and to see how they're receiving everything and how they're processing everything. I was confused with so many curriculums, and over here we was doing this, and over at this school it was this going. I was like, this is mayhem to me. Like, if it's confusing for me and my poor little dyslexic ADHD mind, it was just too much for me. And I just felt like students were just overwhelmed. Like, it was too much going on, too fast, and it was just not a cohesive plan. And I just sat there and watched those children today at Meadow Park. Some very bright students that sometimes you just have to maybe redirect them in a proper way. And they were so mannerable. And I said to myself, it's not that children don't want to learn or they don't want to get it, because they do. And it's just a matter of getting to that opportunity where you can have a chance to just get it to be cohesive and let it flow from there. So, oh my gosh, and at lunch, they were like, I had to turn around, is there some kids in there? Like, they were next to perfect. But I'm excited the direction that it's going, because, like, I go back to Ms. McNulty, I just remember how exasperated she was sitting there. And I felt bad for her to present that horrible information. But sometimes horrible turns to bad, bad turns to better. Better turns into, it kind of, like I say, it speaks to trending up. So as long as we're trending up, we're good. That's all I have.
All righty.
We thank you for your support.
Do y'all need anything? Everybody got what they need? Okay.
Thank you. The rise or fall of the professional learning community concept depends not on the merits of the concept itself, but the most important element in the improvement of any school is the commitment and persistence of the educators within it.
Persistence. Well, I just want to say, when you guys first came, y'all were excited. So excited. I could feel it. And what I'm happy about is you're still excited, and I can still feel it. And that makes me excited. And I'm optimistic. I believe it's going to be a whole different conversation next year. It's not going to take 5 years, because I can already see the change. At every school that we went to visit, I can see the change. I can see the change in the teachers, the building, the students. I can see the change. So I know we're moving forward. Yes, I was disappointed when I saw the grades, of course, but I can see the change. I can tell it's coming. And just like you said, because I tell other people when they talk to me and they ask about it or whatever, we did not get here yesterday, and it's not going to be tomorrow before it's all fixed. It's going to take some time. We're not, I don't know any of us that is Jesus, so we can't fix it overnight.
We go get that four-wheel out the mud.
But your word, I use it a lot now because I love it. Intentional. We are intentional, and I love it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you all. Well done.
Very good.
Well done.
Standing ovation.
We are down to action items. The first one is 12.1, employment of personnel.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, the superintendent recommends the employment of personnel as discussed in executive closed session.
Madam Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
I so move that we accept the recommendation of the new hires.
Second.
It has been properly moved and second that we accept the employment of personnel, being that it is personnel, there can be no discussion. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It has been adopted. 12.2, disposition of regular meetings.
Madam President?
Yes.
I so move that we accept the disposition of regular meetings from September the 15th and October 20th and November 3rd.
Second.
Awesome. It has been properly moved that we accept the disposition of regular meetings September 15th, October 20th, and November the 3rd. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It has been adopted. Consent agenda.
Madam President?
Yes, ma'am.
I so move that we accept the consent agenda for 13.1. Do I have to say it out to all of them, or just the numbers?
Yeah.
Okay, bank reconciliation, 13.2, the net legal balance, 13.3, monthly financial reports, 13.4, business office. 13.5, payment regular bills. 13.6, facility use. Oh, nope, sorry. 13.5, I stopped.
Second.
No, 13.6 is in there too.
Okay, 13.6. Okay, yes.
Second again.
It has been moved and second that we accept the consent agenda, which consists of bank reconciliation, net legal balance workshop sheet, monthly financial reports, business office items, payment of regular bills, and facilities use request. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It has been adopted. We're down to future meetings. I know it's not here, but I believe, Ms. Wancom, you have some events.
Yes, if you don't mind. So, just district-wide, we are accepting socks and gloves for our children right now. At Meadow Park, we are having a Christmas celebration for 530 students. So there's an opportunity to donate $15 per student. That will give them a book, a blanket, and a toy. There's an opportunity at Amboy Elementary for baked sales, donating baked goods. And then at Ridge Road, they have a blessing tree. There's about 35 children at Ridge Road that they're looking for community to help sponsor a child for Christmas.
Awesome. And as we see, we have a board workshop on December the 1st, and our regular meeting will be Thursday, December the 15th. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Wait 1 second,
Oh,
real quick,
one
and
more.
I just and I will figure out how to get this to Dustin, but it's an Amazon wish list for the socks, and that so we have that available. We would appreciate if you would buy the children some socks and some underwear. Thank you so much. Okay. Yes, and we go ahead.
I was fixing to adjourn. Go ahead.
Oh, Madam President, I so move that we adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
And good night.